Hi there, welcome to another exciting Webkul podcast session. This side Goldie Bhargav, business developer at Webkul. Today with us we have Mr. Rico Neitzel from Mage. Before proceeding further, I would like to give our viewers an insight of this session. As we all know that the Magento has officially announced that they are going to discontinue the support and service for the Magento 1 effecting from this June 2020, and this will definitely going to impact a lot of thousands of merchants as well as retailers and make them to come on the edge and think upon switching to another reliable e-commerce system. But thanks to the Mage 1 team, as they have announced that they are going to provide permanent and competent support for Magento 1. This will definitely going to help several retailers and merchants to continue with Magento 1 and to make their business to go ahead. Now moving further, and let's meet the guest of this session, Mr. Rico. Hi Rico, how are you?
I'm fine. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, I'm totally good. So tell me something, Rico, about yourself. Like how you have come to this idea, you have come to this idea that you have to support such an e-commerce system that is on verge of ending. So how you just come up with that idea, and something about yourself. Who are you actually?
So my name is Rico. I'm working with Magento since 11 or 12 years now. So the early beta versions. And I met a lot of people while working with Magento, which are now also friends of mine. And I also have a lot of contact with merchants, with agencies, developers. And that's why we came to the conclusion that when Adobe announced the end of support for Magento 1, that there needs to be some kind of solution for it, because so many people are still using Magento 1. Some of those projects have just been launched. Others just don't want to switch because Magento 1 is a great piece of software. And we saw a problem there, and we thought, okay, why not find a solution for it? And our solution was to found Mage 1. And Mage 1 is a company that covers security fixes and compatibility fixes for Magento 1. So we take over the support for Magento 1 once Adobe ends the support, which is currently scheduled for the June 30th. And this is basically our duty. And as soon as a merchant or an agency needs support or compatibility patches for their Magento 1 stores, they can reach out to us, and we are here.
So the Mage 1 is basically based in which country, which part of the world? So you are based where?
So in good old Germany. So all of the founders are German-based. So we have freelancers, we have CEOs of other agencies, and so we're a good mixed-up group of people loving Magento 1. And that's why we have such a good background to really do what we plan to do.
So that is a really great initiative, because many retailers are still clinging to the Magento 1, and they are small retailers as well as the one which are having their business stable with that. And as the Magento have announced that they are going to discontinue the services, so there will be definitely a setback for those. But you guys are doing excellently well. That's a great initiative, by the way. And moving to the next question, I'm going to ask you a further set of questions we have prepared for you, to give a better insight to all the retailers who want to know what basically the Mage 1 is going to do. What is they are planning for the Magento 1 to support them. So the second question is like, what are you thinking about providing the majority updates to the technology part, if we are talking about the security updates in the Magento 1? So how you are guys going to deal with that regarding the update?
So first of all, we work together with a lot of partners. So we have hosting companies, security companies. We will have a bug bounty program where we just shoot out a lot of money for security researchers and hackers that let us know about security issues and their fixes. So this is just like a big network of people helping us to maintain security in Magento 1. And at the end, for sure, we will write the patches ourselves. Then we will test the patches and roll those patches out to our clients.
Okay, so the patches will be like the updates. So you are going to regularly try to make all the things well. So because the security is a major part of for any organization or for any business, because they have several important data and where is the products and each and everything they have. So the security is the best part, and you are saying that you are going to deliver the patches, so it is a great thing. So the third thing is the developers. If we are talking about the developers, so how they are going to like contribute if they want to contribute in that. So how they can do it?
Basically, there are multiple ways of contributing. So one thing could be just spreading the word, talking about our services, helping merchants to know about our services so they can make a sane decision whether they need Mage 1 or whether they want to migrate to a different system or to upgrade to Magento 2. On the other hand, if a developer finds a security issue or a compatibility issue with PHP, for example, or Apache, they can just provide patches to us. So we will test those patches, probably improve those patches, and then roll them out to our merchants. So one important thing to understand is what we don't do about contribution is we don't want to have new features in Magento 1. So we are not producing Magento 1.10 or 1.11. So we will stay with 1.9.4 and just have security patches there. And also, we are not fixing regular core bugs that are not security related. Because a lot of agencies and developers have fixes in place. So you have a shop which is running fine. And because the Magento core system had a bug, you usually just have a fix for that already applied in this store. And we don't want to tackle them down by just saying, okay, here's a bug fix, and then everything explodes and they have to reevaluate the code base. So we will keep Magento where it is right now and just make it more secure and more compatible, but we are not fixing usability bugs, for example, or business logic bugs, because they've been there since ages, and people know about these bugs and know how to work around or fix them. And we don't want to touch that because we want to make it as easy as possible to just continue to use Magento 1 as long as you need, till you can migrate to a different platform, or till the migration process, which is currently running, perhaps, is finished, or to probably just earn a little bit more money to switch to Magento 2. No?
Yeah. So basically, you are not going to alter the default functionality of the Magento 1.
Yeah, that's correct. It stays where it is.
Okay, that's great. And moving further, so is there any you are thinking of making any marketplace kind of place, so where you are going to publish some extension for the Magento 1, as the Magento 1 is going to be supported. So is there any kind of you are thinking of developing such kind of, or you are thinking of creating that kind of where the developers can also contribute in that, can also publish their or post their extensions for that Magento 1. So is there any kind of thinking you are having?
Now, currently there are no plans to create a marketplace for Magento 1. I know that there is an initiative driven by OpenMage that they want to clone a lot of open source repositories from the Magento marketplace to GitHub, so you can still download extensions once Adobe probably decides to switch off the Magento 1 related extensions in the Magento marketplace. But we're not taking care of that because our main focus is security and compatibility. And this is what we take care about, and we don't want to confuse ourselves with other topics. So this is our main focus, and this is very important. So we want to stick to that.
Nice. Okay. So is there any kind of the enterprise editions you are thinking of, like to plan to provide enterprise edition of things to the clients, or you are going to? Because there are some extensions as well, because they are going to support the Magento 1 still, as you are giving the support. So maybe some of the merchants are going to buy these things from another developers. And so any enterprise edition or commerce editions you are thinking of to provide them?
So at the moment, all this enterprise-related business is very difficult for us because of licensee issues. So if you have a license for the enterprise edition, for example, we are just not allowed to work on that. The only thing what we could do is drive to an office of such a merchant and use their computer to work on their source code, and this just doesn't work. And we really tried hard to convince Adobe that they give us at least the enterprise source code in its latest version, but they disagreed. Then we asked them to probably just put it open source, and they said, no, this is not an option either. And Adobe says, the enterprise edition can still be used, but you won't get any support, but you still have to pay the license fees. So a lot of merchants are just, what? And the only option you have is you can maintain the source code yourself. I mean, what you have to understand is that the Enterprise Edition is just the regular Community Edition, and it's like the core of the community with a lot of enterprise functionality around that, which sometimes replaces existing community features, or it will just add new elements to it. So, and I mean, at the end, you can just use Mage 1 to patch the core. And if you have an agency or a developer, you can tell them to make sure that the files from the Enterprise Edition that change community features are ported as well. So they look into the patches from our Community Edition stuff and then patch the correlated, the related Enterprise Edition features as well. This is one option what they can do. The other thing is they just patch the core of the Enterprise community part, and that's it, or they don't patch anything at all. Or they can downgrade. A lot of merchants we were talking to are now downgrading because they say, okay, if I don't get anything from Adobe, why the heck should I pay them? Yeah, yes. And a lot of functionality that the Enterprise Edition gives you is available on free or paid extensions from extension developers that continue to work for Magento 1. So we have a big partner network of agencies and extension developers and hosting providers and payment providers that all say, yeah, why not? Magento 1 is still good. And if we have someone who takes care about security, we are fine as well. There are still hundreds of thousands of merchants out there. So it's a big market for us. And we say, yeah, okay, we support you there. And yeah, at the end, I think the only reason to have an Enterprise Edition is the SLA. So you have support by Adobe. Yes. And if you don't get that anymore, then there is no reason to pay for it.
Yes, definitely. Because there's no reason then to have the Enterprise Edition if you are not doing the support from the main system, the main parent of the software. Okay, nice. So the next question is regarding the technology trends that are coming to the Magento. I'm talking about the PWA, the Progressive Web Apps. So are you thinking of integrating the same with the Magento 1?
No, as I already said, we are not creating new features in Magento, so we are not also just not implementing PWA. But there are a lot of agencies out there which already have PWA solutions for Magento 1 in place, so you can just use those. And on the other hand, I mean, Magento 1 is capable to power a PWA.
Yes.
Perhaps sometimes you need a few more API endpoints, you need a bit more of performance optimization, but at the end, there are a lot of PWA Magento 1 related implementations out there, so it just works and you can continue to do that. So Magento 1 isn't a dead end. Although, very important, Mage 1's purpose is not to keep merchants on Magento 1. So our purpose is to buy them more time. Yeah, so if you are a merchant and you are running Magento 1, there will be at some point a decision whether you move to Shopware or Shopify or probably Magento 2, or you say, okay, I give up all this e-commerce stuff because it just doesn't work. And yeah, but it's not, so our purpose is not to run Magento in 15 years. So I don't think that Mage 1 lasts longer than 5 years because most of the merchants, I mean, 5 years is a lot of time in e-commerce. Yeah, within 5 years, I think most of the merchants migrated to anything else. Yeah, it might be an upgrade, a site grade, probably switching to an SaaS or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, it's all basically depend upon the business needs. If they are finding the Magento 1 is stable for them, they are doing their business well, so they are clinging to that only. And if in the future they are like they need to have some mandatory major advantages of the e-commerce that is not available in the Magento 1, so they will definitely move to the Okay. So the next question for you is, do you still think that the Magento 1 is going to have majority of developers who are going to have the developers should have the thinking of to be cling with the Magento 1 for the development part, or they should move to the Magento 2 or something?
I mean, Magento 2 is a completely different story, and if you want, so it's not like a logical upgrade path. Magento 2 is a different platform. So if you learn Magento 2 or Shopware 6, it's not that big difference. The only advantage of Shopware 6 then might perhaps be that all the knowledge you gain from Shopware 6 development is something that you can use in other projects as well, because Shopware 6 uses state-of-the-art industry standard stuff. While Magento 2 is completely custom built, something that you can only use with a Magento. And if you stop doing Magento 2 business, all that knowledge is worthless. So at the end, I think, because there are thousands of developers out there who know Magento 1 very well, and this knowledge doesn't just fade away. So I'm pretty sure that there will also be hundreds of developers in 5 years that can still maintain Magento 1 shops. Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that.
Okay, the next one, my next question for you is about the testing. Do you think that testing is still the mandatory part, because it is the mandatory for Magento 1 or Magento 2? If we are talking about any e-commerce platform, the testing is like the unit testing is like the mandatory part for any software. So you are still doing the testing parts for that?
So Magento 1 isn't that easy to test, especially with unit tests, because of the way how it's built. It's much easier in Magento 2. But so whatever tests exist for Magento 1 at the moment, we will just run them. So we are currently also fixing the TAF. Okay. The Magento 1 TAF hasn't been touched since, I have no idea, 1.6 or what. So most of the tests just stay red because they are broken, and because the backend changed over time, features changed over time. So we are fixing all those tests to have the TAF ready, and we can run those tests automatically. So for our merchants, automatic testing is, it's the same. Yeah, it's also very difficult. For sure, if they install our patches, we encourage them to do a backup, to enroll that on a staging system first, to do some intensive testing. If it's just smoke tests, like clicking around, making sure that the important pieces work. There are a few steps that are kind of required, or at least recommended in order to work with our patches. But it's just the basic stuff that you should do with the Adobe patches as well. So I would never recommend to install an Adobe patch on a live system without prior testing or anything. It's not like, and then go ahead. It's like, okay, just go slow, install this on a fresh copy of the live system in an enclosed testing environment, make some backups, have some version control system for your files, so that you can switch back to the unpatched state as fast as possible in case something goes wrong.
So the next question for you is like, it depends upon that there are some critics about the Magento 1, like database structures, or especially if you are talking about like EAB. So do you think the better templating system builders this kind of thing?
Magento 1 is what it is. It has been so since a few years, and we all know its strengths and weaknesses. So we are going to deal with that, and we are not going to change anything about this. So Magento 1, if you are a Mage 1 customer, then Magento 1 will stay what it is. It will always be a 1.9.4, for example. Yeah. Okay. No features, no changes. Especially, we are not changing the way how Magento works internally. So in that case, it's not the best on the market, but it is so good that you know how to work with it, and we want to keep it that way. If we start to change fundamental things in the core, like the database structure or anything else, it will just blow up everything.
So what about the inbuilt marketing tools in that?
So you mean the built-in marketing in Magento 1?
Yes. And that the inbuilt marketing tools, or that is.
Yeah, it's to say we are not changing anything. So if you're happy with it, then you stay happy. If you're unhappy with it, then you stay unhappy. Yeah, that's the core of Magento. And usually, if you are unhappy with it, you have other tools that that will just work for you, like extensions or any third-party applications that you use aside of Magento, and they can still use them because we are not changing anything.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
So yeah, we keep the flexibility you already have. and just make it more secure and more compatible with the latest PHP and Apache MySQL versions and so. But we are not introducing any new features, because new features also mean new core code, new bugs, and probably new security issues. So we just want to make it more safe and not less safe.
So next question is like, you have any plans for the package dependency composers? Is there any kind of plan for that system, or like the packages integrations or something?
No, there are already modules that integrate Composer functionality in Magento 1. So if you like Composer, then you can just go ahead with that. It's as far as I know, it's the Magento Hackathon module, which is now taken over by Daniel Falke. It's the Magento Composer installer. You can use that one, and then you can work with Composer. You can even install Magento via Composer that way. Yeah.
So the last question for the day. Do you have any support from the Adobe? That you are doing such a great job. We are supporting the Magento 1 after they have discontinued. So is there any kind of support you are getting from the Adobe itself?
I think the best support they can give us is to not hunt us down. So at the moment they leave us alone. They are not supportive in any way. They really want to see Magento 1 die. If they look back into history, what they actually want to see is that there has never been a Magento 1. So just recently there were emails and bulletins from Visa and PayPal, and a lot of people are thinking hardly about, why does it come from Visa and PayPal? How is that probably affiliated with Adobe or not? So I have no idea. But a lot of people are saying, okay, it's probably a little bit fishy somehow, because they all say, okay, you have to upgrade to Magento 2. And the question is, why? Because Magento 2 is a different platform. Why don't they say switch to Shopware 6, or just say you have to do something about that? Yeah. And the most recent email by PayPal, some kind of implies, it's not really written there, but it implies that the merchant will stay without a payment provider after June 2020, which is just not true. Yeah, a lot of people were totally panicking about that and asked PayPal, and they said, no, it's everything is okay. So it's just the PCI compliance part, and so you probably are not PCI compliant anymore. But this is your thing, and we just want to make you aware of it. And so people just replied with, okay, but this is not making me aware of something. This is just making me freaking out, because you tell me that there is a big issue in servicing me. And I don't know, perhaps it would help if PayPal and Visa would be more clear about these statements. And I have no idea whether there is some affiliation between Adobe and PayPal. I mean, if I just recently, I read the release notes of Magento 2.5, and they said they will throw out all payment integrations except one. One stays in the core. Which one it might be? It's PayPal. That's interesting. I have no idea whether this has something to do with those emails or probably not. So it's not up to me to decide that, but this is what people think might be a little bit fishy about this thing. So obviously, Adobe doesn't help us, unfortunately. It would be great if they just said, okay, we just leave with Magento 1, so here's the enterprise code, here's community edition code, we just put it all live, and you can do whatever you like with it, and that's it, and thank you very much, it was great, and but no. Unfortunately, it's not that easy. It's corporate.
Hopefully in the near future they see that you are doing such a great job, because definitely you are going supporting the Magento 1, and there are many retailers who cannot switch to, many kind of reasons could be there, that they are not able to switch to the different platforms of even the Magento 2, the successor of the Magento 1, maybe. But you guys are really have taken such a great initiative, so that's a really great thing. And for the viewers as well, I'm just telling that you can just comment on the YouTube video this, and definitely one of the members from the Mage 1 or from our Webkul itself will definitely going to help you with any queries or clarification. So Rico, thank you for giving us your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's a great meeting you, and definitely, hopefully in the 2021, we are going to do some big Magento events in India. So I will really love if you could be in as person, be a guest speaker or something there. You can just be a guest attendee of us. Be a great thing, because many developers still you are having such a background, because you are a Magento U instructor, as well as you are a part of the education advisory board at Magento. So it would be really great for the community as well if persons like you, the community leaders like you, come and encourage the community itself. So definitely we would like that you come in as person to India and educate the community for that. So at the end, thank you so much, and you guys are really doing a great job for supporting the Magento One, and hopefully we will meet soon. So thank you and great day ahead. Thank you.